And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley, Cody Stavenhagen, as always. And we have a guest here that I'm very excited about bringing onto the podcast. We get questions, Cody and I. It's like, hey, like with the farm system, like, who do I trust? And, with respect to Keith Law, with respect to Kylie McDaniel, with respect to Baseball America and MLB Pipeline, all these things, there's really only one entity that comes to mind, and that is Tigers Minor League Report. And we got co-owner Rogelio Castillo with us right now, joining the podcast. Rogelio, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty well, gentlemen. It's been a while, and I wish I would have had my coaster or the little beer koozie for the old podcast on.
Ooh, yeah.
It's saved somewhere. We're just redoing our kitchen over here, but it is among my regular koozie rotation. So
those were a cultural phenomenon. Hold on to that.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah. Hanging on the wall in the background there, and it'll be worth some money someday. All right. Well, I think the simplest way to start out this episode is a little bit of background on you and your team, because it really is a team that you guys have there at TMLR. So just kind of give us a little bit of background on how long you've been doing this, and then just kind of like what goes into like putting together like lists and scouting reports and recaps. And I mean, everything's there. So how does it happen?
So we started this as an idea in 2018 when Chris was over at Tigstown, which was another website, and they were kind of shutting it down a little bit. And so Chris and I have been doing a podcast for a little while under my old Identity Sports Radio Detroit. And so we were approached by a gentleman by the name of Kieran and James Chipman, who was writing scout. And we learned a lot from Chipman. He was the guy who really taught us how to write reports. And we started this in 2019 with the idea of providing minor league coverage. Both Chris and I, growing up, I was a big minor league person, reading Detroit news, reading Lynn Henning, which is rather ironic, which for reasons that are just between us and all. And so, but yeah, it was a lot of times where it was looking up, living during the Randy Smith era, that the farm system became a thing. And so I've always been obsessed with the minors, and our goal was to create independent, in-depth coverage of the Tiger minor league system. We thought there was a void there for it. The goal was to highlight prospects that fly on the radar of mainstream outlets, because, Keith Law does great work, and all these guys the names you mentioned earlier do great work, but we wanted to make sure that there was names in there. And this is during the Avila period, where we were also not afraid to say, hey, you know what, this guy isn't good, or look at draft patterns and what have you. Like, for example, it was always a running joke that the Tigers would get somebody from LSU or somebody from the Great Plains State, whether it was Creighton and what have you. And so, and having podcasts and live discussions. And at first we were really kind of audio based. And then when we started going on YouTube and we started noticing, we took it really seriously. Then we started doing clips, and it just kind of took off from there. And then, having conversations with JJ Cooper for Baseball America and and getting to know some of the local beat writers, we wanted to make sure that we were unbiased. We didn't want to say, hey, this guy is great, and when he really wasn't. And so we wanted to make sure that we were trusted with that. And so Chris Brown is one of my favorite people of all time, because he is a guy who sees things what I don't see, and we both play off each other. And Jerry and the rest of our team we have a young guy named Colin, too, really good, nerdy people. And I get along with these nerdy guys, and I'm proud of my staff immensely.
Yeah, Tigers Minor League Report really is a great resource. I don't think every market has, an independent outlet covering the minor leagues with this level of depth. You guys have your own top 30 that provides probably more info than the mainstream outlets. It's almost a crutch for me. I focus obviously much more on the major league team. I do some national stuff, but I know what's going on in the minor league system and don't have to worry maybe about checking the box scores every night, because Tigers Minor League Report has it covered. If something down there is happening that I need to know about, I'm getting it from you guys. And so really it's just a great, unique resource that this market has. The timing was great during a rebuild, during a lot of prospects who didn't pan out, and some that have, and now the team's good. And hey, this farm system is still pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a system that, I mean, historically speaking, Cody, has been bad. I mean, let's not mince words here.
Right.
Like, there's always been this great debate about during the Browski era, him emptying out the farm system to get players to keep themselves competitive, which is absolutely true. But even then, the prospects that the system was never deep, and it hasn't not been deep since the 1970s. So you're looking at a history here where this is a team that, for example, their AA affiliate, the Montgomery Rebels, won 5 titles in 7 years in the 70s. Now, think about that for a second. That would be making more headlines now, but how the minor leagues is completely different in the 70s than they are now. But Lakeland and Montgomery both won championships in 1977. Evansville, their AAA affiliate at the time, won a championship, I believe, in 78. So this is a team like
Jim Leland.
Yeah, Jim Leland. Yeah, Leland won a championship with Lakeland and Evansville. So there is a lot of a good history here, but it stops at 79 all the way till now. I mean, it's like, like there's been some stops in between. Like Andrew Graham's done a really good job. He led West Michigan to a title. There's been blimps, if you will. But the fact that now, for example, going to West Michigan a couple of years ago and hearing Isaac Pacheco and some of these guys saying, hey, we're eating nutritious food and there's a lot of these things we'll get to in a second. But the fact is that the reason why we get so excited about this is they have guys. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. It's 8 to 9 to 10 guys that are a part of the roster now, which is incredible and really unheard of until recently.
Yeah, I mean, the Dombrowski thing was always like, I came across sometimes as like an Al Avila like apologist in a way, because he did have to take something that, like, it was an unfortunate position with the major league team. It was just kind of reaching its end, and then also there was just nothing in the cupboard, and you have to, and he did have to start from scratch in a lot of areas. We've seen one of the things you're really good at on social media, Raj, is like contextualizing all these things. Like Riley Green has the most home runs of a Tigers draft pick since, so and so, and that really puts it in perspective. And so I guess maybe this is opportunity. Is there like 1 flower, 2 flowers? Like can Al Avila get a couple flowers for some of the things that have happened? I'm just gonna put it out there right now. Like all those guys you mentioned, a lot of them Avila additions. Just a couple flowers.
Yeah, no, he does deserve a couple flowers because the guy has always been always had the ability to evaluate talent going back to his days with the Marlins. I mean, you look at some of the Marlins, the construction of the 1997 Marlins roster was stuff that Avila scouted. I think that for Avila, he gets a bum rap, but I think when you descend to a certain plateau of a GM, maybe you're not the same guy who will go out in 50-degree weather and scout these guys, 35-degree weather and scout these guys, in Kane County, Illinois, or whatever the case is. And so I think that he started trusting people, and his trust maybe perhaps, maybe let him down. I mean, I'm not saying names or anything, but the point is that I think with Avila, he does deserve a little bit of credit. Does he deserve all the credit? No, because guys like Ryan Garco and others have taken for them to change the dorms for the first time since 1972, or doing things as like common sense as putting covers where the bullpen pitching is, stuff like that, where you're just like, oh, wow, that's common sense. The Tigers weren't doing that. And it's no offense to anybody beforehand, but they're doing a little, like, as much as we, Scott Harris gets a lot of grief sometimes about a lot of things I don't understand. There's one thing he has fundamentally done. The little things, especially with them spending more money, and there's a new DSL academy, a new Dominican Republican, there's a new academy coming, a new building, new facilities, things like that matter because, if Randy Smith, for example, was the first GM to bring in computers in like 96, 97, when other organizations like the Dodgers and Pirates were doing things internationally for a long time, the Tigers haven't always been late to the game. And so I think that Avila did what he could, but he didn't get a chance to finish the job.
No, and nor did he deserve it. And the 2020 class is something that that at least he should get some credit for too. In addition to all the crazy things in the world, he did get Torque and Keith, and who am I missing from that 2020 class?
Dingler. Yeah,
and Dingler. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's certainly worth noting. We are going to take a quick break, and then we are going to get into more of the depths of the current Tigers farm system. But first, a word from our sponsors. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling. Every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, go over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, coming back here, I had to interrupt Cody so we get to a break there because I know we're just going to go on tangents and we got to make sure we take care of the people that take care of us. So, Cody, sorry for interrupting, but where were you going to go?
Oh, I don't even remember. I'll just try to give a 30-second addendum to the Avila conversation. Like, Avila's tenure was a mess, man. There were a ton of mistakes. There were an incredible amount of little things this organization was doing poorly, but I could see signs of him getting some of these things right toward the end, especially after bringing in AJ Hinch and then Ryan Garko. I always thought one of his strengths was the ability to delegate. Some of the people, like you kind of alluded to, Raj, that he delegated to probably let him down. Toward the end, he was delegating to better people. The organization was getting in a better place. Better decisions were being made, but there were too many mistakes along the way. A lot of little things that weren't their systems were not in a good place. Scott Harris, I think, understands the systems required to build an organization. I think maybe that's one of his chief strengths. Now, like Avila, can he make trades at the major league level? I guess he has constructed a winner at the major league level, but can he put the finishing touches on a major league roster? Kind of just like Al Avila, those are some of the questions that are still out with Scott Harris. But I don't think under the Harris regime, the Tigers are going to be an organization that is behind the curve. Systems are the thing the Tigers have become really good at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when the Tigers rolled out the whole Caesar system and how much of a big deal it was, and all in reality was just an input, just a data input thing. Mm-hmm. It was a thing where now you see actual models and then, going back and tracking things out and going, oh, okay, we can fix, for example, I look at how they done with Jack Flaherty and looking at his shoulder and how they were able to bring back his ankle a little bit. There's actual proof of things versus just saying, hey, Caesar, cool, we have this tower of computer information.
So. It was a lot easier to write about and cover back then because they would love to show off, we finally have a database. I was a couple years after that, and now they don't want you to know much of anything. So there's always an overcorrection, right?
Yeah, I remember when Lance Parrish was a manager of West Michigan, and Chris and I were talking to him after the game. This was when we first started, and he was like, "I'll have to put some stuff in," and we see him doing the God bless Lance Parrish. It's just sitting there going he's like, I gotta put this in real quick, guys, hang on. And it was a funny moment because it was just how far technology is here, the new wave, and so, yeah.
Yeah. Glad the organization has gotten over their Y2K fears.
Oh, that's good.
All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the farm system, and that is the big three, of course: Kevin McGonigle, Max Clark, and Josue Briceno. Let's start with McGonigle because he's the headliner. I think I want to start out the discussion this way. Kevin McGonigle could be a blank MLB player right now. Now, either one of you guys can answer this one, but he could be a blank MLB player right now. I think that, and then we can kind of parse it from there. So if I say that sentence, what comes to mind?
I'm going to say just a bench MLB player right now because I think he's not ready. Like McGonigle has a polish hit tool. I mean, he has one of the best hit tools I've ever seen in the minor leaguer. He's got really good plate discipline. But he's a guy who, at the same time, we're witnessing right now a tough stretch for him. I think he's been 2 for the last 21 or something like that. We posted a stat about. He rolls the ball over too much to the right side at this point right now. And teams, I saw him live a few weeks ago in Erie, and teams are having a plan. They're not giving him a fastball because they know that he could. I mean, he took Susana, the prospect for the Nationals, 102 deep to right field to a building across the street. He still needs reps against higher level pitching, which means that essentially he has to be a regular everyday player. Defensive refinement a little bit, where I think he sometimes struggles with the routine play, but then about a month or so ago, I'm out in Akron and there was one of those little bloopers and he threw a guy home, gunned him down all the way out from shallow left center out at home. So there's tools there. I think he just needs to. It still needs a little process, and everybody's always saying the biggest 3 words we always hear: call him up. Is he better than Trey Sweeney right now? Hit tool? Oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, but it still needs work, and there's no reason why to rush him. And there was something that Scott Harris mentioned about this, that the rush, and they're already really advanced for his age, and he is. And so right now, I think he's just a bench player at this point right now.
I just think I've seen it too many times. Kevin McGonigle, give him 80 games in the big leagues, I think he'd figure things out. But it's just so hard for guys to get off to a good start. I'm pretty big team Scott Harris on not calling up Kevin McGonigle right now. And I know that upsets a lot of people, but you just talked about it. His weaknesses are starting to get exploited a little more in Double-A. That's the only thing that happens at the major league level. Teams will find whatever hole it is, and they will just go after it. Colt Keith, great hit tool, great approach. I thought it would translate to the major leagues. It largely has, but got off to a brutal start to his major league career. Took a lot of time to get going. Is still kind of just now really coming into his own, or he's now at a rough second half. Like McGonigle's an even better hitting prospect than Keith, but the idea that he's going to come up in September and be the best version of himself, that's asking a lot. It's asking a lot of a young player. Going forward, though, whether it's this year, whether it's next year, Raj, is he a shortstop?
I think he has the ability to play shortstop in a pinch. I think personally he's better at second base. That's just me. That's just my opinion about that. I think he has a range to even possibly, he might get some. I've seen him take some reps at third. He could play third and short, I think. But to me, I think a long term he's better suited for second base because I think sometimes with the routine play at short, the left, the right, sometimes he struggles with the arm is there. There's no question that he has good arm, but I just worry about his range a little bit. I personally think he's better at second base where his range is perfect. I think that he has a good enough glove there where it's not going to be a liability. And not to say it will be a liability at short, but especially you see some of the athletes that play short for the Tigers right now. I think about Javi Baez. I think about McKinstry, who's been getting a lot of reps there. I think McGonigle is a guy who I think the Tigers are going to do what they do with these infielders, which is put them around multiple positions and not settle for, technically he's we don't know what he is. And I think that's what I think that's where they're going to approach him. If he goes to fall ball, then I think he's a guy who will see most of the reps on the left hand side. But personally, I think he's better suited for second base.
Yeah, and when it comes to bringing these guys up, I tend to if the hit tool is that true, I tend to not want to overwhelm him the glove side. So if you're going to put him in positions where he's going to fail more, could that also affect the hit tool? You see what I'm saying? So I think and then contractually at the major league level, there is a more smooth path to second base for McGonigle if we're looking next season and beyond. So be very, very curious to see him. And then his partner in crime would be Max Clark, who might be the most polarizing player in this system because he is like one of those kind of like out in front type of guys, type of personalities, and he's a modern athlete, I think is a good way to put it. And then there are people who believe him to be like the next Bryce Harper, and then there are those that like to pull back. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe your colleague Chris Brown, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, I tried to look it up, I couldn't find it. Didn't he say like he was a borderline or not
Old
even
takes exposed
top 100 prospect? And I don't mean this to be critical of Chris. Like if Chris says that, I believe he put in the work and he believes it. But like that's just an example of like the range of which we talk about Max Clark. So we have the question on our screen right now, like what is the proper way to view Max Clark?
As a smart, very smart 5-tool potential player. Last time I was out in Erie, I got to talk to him. First and foremost, he calls me Raj, which knows, if you guys know me pretty well enough, not a lot of people call me Raj unless they intimately know me. So it's just like, okay, well, he is paying attention to what we're saying. Hopefully, I think he's paying attention. And then we had this really in-depth conversation about the new ballpark layout at where the Whitecaps play. And he said, and he had this really cool point about how the left field wall knocks down wind resistance, and that's how he was able to go to right field more. And it was one of those things where it's like, well, it sounded like a conversation that us would be having at a bar somewhere. And he is that much in tune to what he is. He knows a lot of little things, and just he's always paying attention, and he's always working on his game, whether you see it or not. I mean, I think when he got to Double-A, I think he realized he was going to get challenged more, and I think he's accepted it. And to me, he's a guy that's always constantly refining his game. He is a guy, if you need him to go put the ball in play to get the run over, that's what he does. He does the fundamental things well. And I think Clark, I think the biggest thing, he has the potential to just be a guy that you can build your team around. He just needs to be more consistent with his swing decisions, such against lefties. You want to see the evolution's there. He's always doing things in the background, whether you see it or not. And he's well aware of his surroundings. And that's something that not a lot of prospects are, at least in my opinion. You talk to Kevin McGonigle, you talk to Briceno, it's 3 different types of conversations. And with Clark, he is one of those guys that is on Twitter looking at his clips. He's looking at other clips too. It's not just us. He's looking at everybody. And I think Max Clark, I have a lot of respect for him. I mean, my initial reaction when he got drafted over Langford was like, oh man, come on, but then that was ignorance on my part. I freely admit that. The more I've seen him play and the more I see him adapt, the more it's more like, it's not just because he wears a chain and all that. It's not flash. There's some substance behind Max Clark. And I think that more people are going to see that as he's a very charismatic guy. But he knows baseball, and he's a baseball rat and nerd, or whatever the terminology they use for that. I've learned to really respect how he approaches the game.
Yeah, I agree with all that in my little experience around him. I mean, it comes across pretty clearly that this is someone who knows ball. That you're right. Like, people see the chains and the tattoos, and
he's gritty.
For some reason, there's this assumption, well, he probably doesn't do the little things well. Max Clark does the little things well. I think that in the long run is going to serve him better than like the big things, because there are some questions like how much power will he hit for at the major league level? Come back to positioning. Is he a center fielder, Raj?
I personally think he's a guy that could play center. I think personally he's a guy who plays center field in a pinch. I think he's more of a left fielder or right fielder. Not to say I would love to see him play at Comerica. I mean, I think he handled LMCU, which is it's a center field very similar to Comerica Park. I thought he handled it pretty well, but personally, I think he's a guy that be better off in the corners. If you look at the way Parker Meadows plays center field, it's like a gazelle out in the wild. Like it's impressive. And not to say Clark doesn't have that range or anything. I think he does, but I think he has a very good first step. But I think it's more suited for the corner spot, at least in my opinion.
All right. Well, I mean, we're dinging McGonigle can't be a shortstop, and Clark can't be a center fielder. So we'll see.
Hey, these guys are both great prospects. Don't get me wrong, but this is why sometimes I like to tamp down the prospect type, because these organizations, he's going to be a shortstop. He's going to be a shortstop. Oh, actually, he's not. Like that's how these things go a lot, man.
Hard position. And the larger point is, it's not a bad thing to be a corner outfielder. It's not a bad thing to be a second baseman. All right, like the center field, the shortstops of the world. It's really hard.
In the outfield, especially, you better be able to hit for some power if you're going to a corner, though.
Yeah, and that's where I think he's going to excel at. I think he's going to. I think the power is there, and it's just going to continue to be refined. So, I think he's a 20 home run guy. Is he a 30 home run guy?
Oh, wow.
That I don't know. I don't.
20 homers with some speed though. That'll play. Play.
I'm cool with that.
You won me back over, saying, "Man, 20 homers, sign me up."
Okay, yeah. Well, what kind of power are we looking at from Josue Briceno? Because he's another one that started out West Michigan and is now in Erie. The numbers are just the raw numbers are a little down, but again, some of that stuff to be expected. And another middle of the field athlete. Will he still end up in the middle of the field? So the Briceno scouting report and all that stuff, you know, you take in whatever direction you want. What do you think?
So he's one of the most intriguing young prospects internationally wise. The Tigers have had him quite some time in terms of that. They've always been, you know, you look at Wenzel Perez, the Tigers have had a prototype of like big bulky relievers, and every once in a while they'll have an infielder. Go back to Omar Infante, but this is the first time they had a catcher, first baseman type. And he's got really he changed his batting a little bit during the Arizona Fall League, and we saw the numbers last year were insane. He's got a bat for his age, good contact ability. It's kind of like a line drive approach, but he can hit the ball all fields. That raw power there, patience beyond, for his age is amazing. If he can, I think his continued defensive development. I've seen a lot of teams run on him quite a bit. He's got an arm. You want to see better blocking and framing from him, game calling. I know he's calling his games more, from my understanding. Continuing, I worry because about the knee surgery he had. I think first base he can play just fine. His offensive profile will carry him no matter what. But I think personally, he still needs to work. I know how AJ Hinch likes his catchers, or I think I have a good idea what AJ Hinch likes in his catchers. And Garco has said, since day one, he is a catcher. He is a catcher. Great. Awesome. Guess what though? Teams are running on him all day long. And that has been a case with a couple other catchers in the system. But that being said, the guy can hit, the guy can rake, and he can put the ball in play, and he's got a really good eye to play. Sometimes I think and Chris has said this too, he's a little bit too selective, and I agree with him on that. And so I just think what I want to see better is better blocking, better framing. And the double-A strike zone already kind of sucks because, you see these strike zones in double-A, it's ridiculous. And I'm sorry for any umpires that are listening right now, but you guys know what exactly I'm talking about. But personally, I think long-term his position, and again, this might be a controversial take, but I think he's better suited at first base.
I like that he's still catching a lot. There's room to get better, but leads to kind of another question. What happened to our boy Tyron Lorenzo?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Cody, because I think Briceno's catching more out of necessity than Tyron has been dealing with nagging injuries that I think that really kind of hindered him a little bit, and he has not been regular catcher. From my understanding, I thought it was going to be a split between the three, him and Alfonso and Tyron, and it hasn't been the case. For example, a few weeks ago, it was the first time Briceno caught 4 straight games in his career.
Wow.
So, whatever nagging injuries that are there for Tyron, I think is affecting that kind of catching pie, if you will, of time of playing. So I think Briceno will see more time there than he anticipated.
Yeah, very interesting. I say this all the time is that, it might be one of the most unfair, positions in baseball is that, there's so much emphasis on the defensive element and in the pitch calling element. And then hopefully it won't be the problem for these guys, but then you get to the major league. It's like, well, he can't hit. And it's like, well, it was focused so much on the other stuff the past 5 years. And now it's like, you can't hit. Now you can't play. So it's a lot of times it's unfair to these guys, but that's why it's one of the most valued position and assets that an organization can have. We are going to get to the arms that are in the farm system, and is there a little lacking of depth there? Who knows? But first, a word from our sponsors.
We spend a lot of time on the road. We are often concerned about our online security when you're logging in from all over the globe, really. So you should maybe look into a VPN. What does that stand for, Kratz?
Virtual private network.
Boom, nailed it. And that virtual private network that you should look into is called Surfshark. It is time to take control of your online security and try Surfshark today. You can enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee and secure your digital world right now by visiting the link that we'll post there for you and start surfing securely. Surfshark.com/foul or the code foul at checkout will get you 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, aka Virtual Private Network. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Surfshark's unique VPN benefits include use on unlimited devices in 100 countries and 24/7 support at surfshark.com/FOUL. This has been your tech update. Keep your data safe.
All right, coming back here. This is a topic that Cody has been kind of raising the alarm. Is that too strong?
Yeah, no, not alarm. Just raising the question.
Yeah, just kind of say, hey, I'm in the back of the class.
No,
like, hey,
no. This is why Raj is on, because I think the Tigers' pitching is thinner than we think, or thinner than some people think. Like, it's thinned out pretty quickly. The system as a whole, maybe it's not as deep as we've been led to believe, but the Tigers are pretty good at 3D printing some guys who can pitch in the major leagues. What's their ceiling? I don't know. So I'll just tee that up for you, Raj. Like, how do you feel about the pitching in this system? And then what I really want to know, like, who are the under the radar guys that maybe we should be keeping an eye on? Who's the next Troy Melton?
Well, the thing is that I feel worse about the system now than I did last year at this point, because the arms have been the amount of injuries as this staff has had across the system has been it's been a good and a bad thing. What I mean by that is, in a good way, you see guys that I'll talk about in a second that have come out of nowhere to grab people's attention. But the bad thing is that we also see arms that are potentially won't see for a while that are just starting out, and we don't know when it's going to happen. And so that being said, I look at guys like, for example, Andrew Sears has come out of nowhere because here's a guy who the Tigers is Cody. We talked about this offline about the Northeast connection. They've gone very deep into Northeast, like Connecticut, New York. And Sears was drafted out of Connecticut. He was a 10th round draft pick, and I saw him pitch in Double-A a couple in my trip last month. And he's a guy who can throw a changeup, slider, fastball, and throw it in the zone and get swings and misses on it. And he's a very intense guy. I think he's a guy that you can put down maybe perhaps like an 8th and 9th or 10th starter next year. But the depth has been demolished. I mean, Matt Manning now in Double-A, for Christ's sake, and not even here. I mean, he's in Philly now. So if that shows anything about the system depth right now, is guys like you expected, for example, Jaden Ham. He's been banged up a little bit, but his velocity's down. Yeah. And that adjustment that Melton faced in Double-A, he was allowing a lot of home runs. That's happening to Ham right now, although he's been pitching better as of late. But yeah, there's guys like I'm trying to think of the lefty Miller, who has just been really he's been banged up. So they've had guys that were supposed to step up and haven't. But yeah, the 3D printing analogy, Cody, is very spot on, because now
to my friend Max Boltman, Red Wings beat writer, for that one.
Oh, well, Max is brilliant for that, because, they're trying to make something out of Wilco Hernandez. Well, guess what? That's not happening. I mean, there's guys that are really, to me, have taken a slight step back. I thought Garrett Burnham this year would take a step forward a little bit, but he might be more of a reliever profile at this point. And so some of the names that have stepped up, I mentioned, is Kelvis Salcedo, who is a guy that's been on Chris's radar quite a bit. 85 strikeouts and 68 innings pitched down. He has been a complex guy. Now he's in Lakeland, and I sent you guys the video of him on the phone, because his changeup and slider are just, I mean, he's 19 years old, just tossing really well. I think he's stepped up more than Rainer Castillo, who has not made the adjustment in West Michigan. Rainer Castillo was a guy who pitched in Arizona Fall League, thinking that we all thought that him and Gabriel Reyes, Reyes last night pitched 93 pitches last night. Helped Lakeland in the first game of the playoffs. That's a name that you should mention or know too. But Salcedo is the next guy you should get to know because I think his stuff is really that good. There is a slight reliever risk to it. And I mentioned Andrew Sears. Sears is a guy who I think has made a pretty good jump to Double-A. 119 strikeouts at 107 innings pitched. He is a guy that is a starter. Hayden Minton has kind of made a tough adjustment, but he's a guy to look out for in West Michigan right now. But all the arms really are like below Double-A, and that's where it's like, that's kind of like, oh boy, kind of moment because I mean everybody was making a big deal about Kenny Suara, and rightfully so. The guy throws a knuckleball, yada yada yada. I get it, but is he a guy that can help you out next year? No. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to
come on. Come on. I want some
time.
sixth inning. Kenny Serva enters, throws 12 knuckleballs, get you out of the inning.
Can we get Chase and Kenny like back to back out of the pen? Just get chaos.
It is weird because if you look at the Tigers system though, you look at guys that are like, you look at in second glance, you're like, well, wait a minute. Trevor Michael is 27 years old in Double-A. And there's going to be, I think, some of these guys hit minor league free agency. I think there's going to be more of that. And I think that's where the depth might just become, oh boy, kind of thin. But they have a few guys. The system, we all know this. The Tigers are very, very secretive about injuries. Rightfully so, HIPAA laws and all that stuff. I get that. But as far as like names go, Sears, I just gave you, there's 3 or 4 guys, but that's really about it right now, which is to me a little bit of alarm that you have guys that are, West Michigan had to be creative this year and use bullpen starts. Erie had to do the same thing. Lakeland had to do the same thing. All the affiliates. I mean, look at the job that Gabe Alvarez has done in Toledo with that staff. If I look at some of those names like Matt Sillinger, at one point, Ennis, Colin Field's been back everywhere. Like all these guys, you're like, who? What? Yeah, that's where we're at right now, and that's why you see a lot of those guys that were in other systems before in Toledo that are there because they're they're literally throwing everything against the wall.
Is it worth noting or no that some of the bigger pitching prospects in the draft recently, Owen Hall, Ethan Scheffelbein, they've been hurt, so they're kind of out of sight, out of mind. But they're not dead. Like they're going to come back and pitch at some point,
right? Or Michael Massey, who still has not yet appeared. He was drafted last year, and I think with the draft class this year, if you look at the Tigers' emphasis on drafting, I mean, they really went out of their way to pick a lot of pitchers this year. It's kind of like not the really kind of MO. Usually it's the best position player available. And this year, look at Malachi Witherspoon. The ceiling's really high on him. Chris was talking about him and what the capabilities are if he gets his fastball straightened out. Ben Jacobs, the lefty out of Arizona State, 92, 93. They don't really care about velocity that much as long as they pitch in the zone. But you want to see a little bit more out of Jacobs. Hopefully he does something. Caleb Lays, the 4th rounder out of the University of Maine, is another guy who they went lefty heavy here. And so there's Grayson Grinsell, and then they have the funky names like Hale Wet Whiskey, and I'm trying to think of the other one that was Joey Wimpelberg. That's been kind of a name we always talk about.
Joey Wimpelberg. That's
Cash Hupier from Murray State. So there's a lot of arm potential in this draft, and they went really heavy with that. And I think it's also because they're addressing the fact that they're kind of short on arms right now. I mean, it is, and that's something that is to be concerned with. But I don't know. I like the upside of the guys they got in the draft in Witherspoon, and I'd love to see where he's going to start off at next year.
Another thing we got to address for talking about the minor leagues, all the winning. Maybe you can rattle off some of the stats, but does it matter? Will it ultimately translate to the major league level?
I think it matters. I think it does. There's something to be said about that. You look at the culture that Tampa, the Rays have created with their minor league system. Their minor league system is a powerhouse, and Tampa, they might not make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. I should say that with confidence. But they're a team that are always competitive, and they have a winning culture. And there's something to be said. Sometimes I don't like believing or correction. I don't believe in things like momentum and things that are like just kind of like those stereotype things. But I do believe in winning, and winning culture does help. And so every team this year, with the exception of the DSL teams, have been over 500. They have a combined winning percentage over 60, almost 60%. And you look, it does help. I mean, these guys playing together. This is the same winning culture that helped them in the 70s. I mean, Lance Parrish, Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell all played together. Jack Morris, Dan Petrie. Talk to Peaches sometime about that, and it does make a big difference. And so you get to know these guys really well, and even the guys who don't make it, you still have those experiences that you carry with you. I mean, we've heard stories from when Kirk Gibson was around, when Leland picked him up from the airport, and all these cool little things, and all that builds up. And so even the 2006 team, Verlander, Zamaya, Granderson all played together. So they won a little bit. So that, I think, matters more than what people like to believe in. And I believe that more than momentum and fate and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. And, we see that, with the current squad right now, we've been doing this podcast long enough, Cody and I, that we used to talk about the triplets being Dingler and Green and Torkelson, and now look at them. You know what I mean? So that it is, and it is also cool to watch that from its infancy and see it happen at the major league level. So we're 40 minutes in. We got to wrap up here pretty soon, but we cannot have talk the farm system and not mention Bryce Rainer. So so that's kind of a miss by me in my rundown a little bit, but that's probably also the point. He gets hurt. He's going to be back, but, momentarily he's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Are you a Bryce Rainer guy, Raj?
Oh, yeah. No, it was when I first started seeing him play and he launched a throw from short. I was like, oh. And then, every hit was over 100, 103, 104. You're like, oh yeah. And then the fact that he started in Lakeland, non-complex ball, said something to me about his age. Usually high school guys, the Tigers are very conservative when it comes to guys that they draft them out of high school. And the fact that he was out there among, the regular single A guys, to me was like, okay, that meant something. And it absolutely did. Between him and Frambier Montilla, they were a really exciting combo to watch out there in the infield. They both, as soon as Rainer got more comfortable in the position out there, it really sucked watching him get injured. It was really unfortunate because I think he would have been in West Michigan right now. That's how talented he is. He's just, for his size, the ability to, the way he drives contact, that first home run he had too, he's legit. He is, you're sitting there going, yeah. And the fact that the Angels were going to consider drafting him, that's saying something, because usually Angels don't draft anybody from high school because they want somebody right there. So.
You know what I like about Rainer? Just, I don't know. He's a big guy, so maybe you can file this to old takes exposed when he moves to third base. But just watching his actions, I think he's actually going to be a shortstop. Yeah. I think he's actually going to be able to play the position he was drafted at.
Agreed. Definitely. I think he has really good range to his going to his left. And I think the fact that he was almost pitching too at one point, the arm range there is, he could have been a pitcher. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he has a range to.
He's smooth, man.
Yeah, he is very smooth. Yeah, for his size, that's what I was gonna say, Cody. For a guy of his size, he moves like a tall point guard, like Scottie Pippen, or I'm thinking like another guy that had that size, that could somebody that should be classified as a third baseman that's playing short and had that smooth capability. It's really good.
Yeah, he gets the Corey Seager comparison. I don't know what Corey Seager looked like when he was 20, but right now, Bryce Rainer is smoother, has better actions in the field than Corey Seager.
Agreed.
Well, there's the big take right there. I like that. All right, let's wrap
up. Will he be the hitter, Corey Seager? That's just a high bar, but
yeah, just the actions. That's all. Just the actions.
Ryan Kreidler had great actions.
Man, we just mentioned Scottie Pippen and Ryan Kreidler within a 90-second time frame.
I love it.
That's awesome. All right. Let's wrap up here. I have a guy in the system that I can't quit, so I'm curious what your guys is what guys qualifies that for you guys. I'll say mine real quick. I'm just always intrigued by Max Anderson. He was a high draft pick. He's younger than you think. He doesn't turn 24 until February, and he recently was promoted to Toledo. It's only 21 games. 264 average. You guys can look up the numbers, but the bat profile has played out, I feel like, as expected. And sometimes, man, when those droughts happen at the major league level, you're just thinking, can we just get some dude that's gonna rake it a little bit, and I think he could be a guy that could rake it a little bit. And so I can't quit Max Anderson. So I don't know if you guys have somebody that qualifies under that criteria for you.
My guy would be Trey Cruz, who was the last of the 2020 draft picks that had outside of Daniel Cabrera, which we'll never see the major league level. We have not, like, I cannot quit, because Trey Cruz to me is just a victim of circumstances. I think at any other team, like whether it's like, for example, he would be a good good A's player, as Chris has said. And first, when I thought about that, I'm like, well, wait a minute, what does he talk about? And he's right. Versatility, the fact that he's good defense. But Trey Cruz, his lineage is not going to deny him from playing on the big league level. He's a guy who works his ass off. He got stuck in Erie because of just the way things have laid out for him, unfortunately, his positions. But he made the adjustment to center field seamlessly. Gabe Alvarez, when he was manager at Erie, put him out there, and he said he wanted his best defensive center fielder out there, and that was Cruz. And originally, when he came there, there was things about him being hot dogging things and all that, but he's come around as a player, as a teammate, and you just see his infectious energy down. Toledo had a game-winning hit. I love Trey Cruz, and I think that if it's not here, it's somewhere else where I think he's going to make it to major leagues. Now, is he going to be a guy that's going to be a regular? I don't know, but I think he has enough talent to. I can't quit him. He's just a really talented defensive player who can hit, who's a switch hitter, and I think that versatility would help out the Tigers, because that's what they do. They somehow take a guy and say, you're playing shortstop, psych. No, we're putting you in center field.
All right. If there's an organization for him, I think it's this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You would think.
You never know.
Yeah.
I don't have anyone in the farm right now. I need to fall in love with another under the radar guy. I still can't quit Casey Mize. I'll see that game last night. He's back. He's back. Why are you worried? Why are we worried about the rotation? Casey Mize, all you need.
What about Edward Valencia?
How did we get this deep in the pod without talking about Edward Valencia, the Erie home run god? I don't know as much about him as you do, Raj. All right. We got to wrap up here soon. Tell me real quick, 30 seconds, Edward Valencia.
Edward Valencia is is a offensive first catcher, first baseman. Gabe Alvarez has told me he needs to work a little bit on his defense, but he has worked on faster swings, lost some weight, and as a result, he's generating more power. And Troy Melton, as you witnessed this in the clubhouse, is a big fan of him, and a lot of the guys are rooting for him because he's a guy who can hit the gaps really well, and he's a bat who the Tigers should consider for adding on the 40-man roster.
There we go.
Damn. There you go. That's a great scout. All right, yeah. So much fun. We could do this for an hour and a half, but we have to wrap up here. Raj, plug away. Tell us where people can find you. What you guys got going on. Here's your opportunity. We appreciate so much coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. So you guys can find me on X at Rajcast Baseball. You can find Tiger Minor Report, TigersMLReport.com. There is a link to donate. Again, we do all this independently. We also have a Patreon you can join, our YouTube channel, and also I write for the Tigers Roundtable, which is a new thing that's rolling out, writing about the big league club. So Tigers Roundtable, if you join that, it's just a cool little app you can join, and there's other teams you can follow on there. And don't forget to follow Chris Brown 0914 on X, because Chris, to me, the fact that he's got under 40 or 4,000 followers is criminal. He's one of the best baseball minds I've ever met in my life. I'm not just saying that because he's a good friend. Chris really knows the stuff, and he should get some more recognition. And I'm happy for him. And but yeah, all our crew, you can find us on there, and it's a great group of people that we work with, and I'm really proud to work with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said at the beginning, like when people ask like who to look to, there's only one direction to look, in my opinion, and you guys are so good at it. I don't want to. I'd be like, I'm not a minor league expert. Go to those guys. Like go to them. For all the information, because
and proof that being a good person matters. And the way you treat people matters. You, Chris, that whole team, just genuine, authentic, curious, loves the game. Yeah, and served you guys really well.
Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, man, I mean, it's great to get to know everybody in this baseball community. Detroit's got a really good baseball community, and like I said, you might catch us somewhere doing karaoke one night. Who knows? While you're out there. So that being said, it's I'm just grateful to be talking baseball and the people I've met, friendships I've made. It's been really fantastic. So thank you.
All right, that is Rogelio Castillo, Cody Stavenhagen. I am Kieran Steckley. Everybody, reminder, follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Instagram, wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate all of you. TigerTerritoryShop.com for your Tiger Territory merch. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thursday.